Oh, hello there. I'm Mapledungeons, and today we're going to be taking a look at another Guardian build. This is a Greatsword bunker build, so if you don't know what that means, it's a build meant for guarding points and being extremely defensive, but in this case, it can do some pretty decent damage, especially in a team fight, if that is necessary. So what we have in terms of traits are the normal. If you've seen my previous videos, it's always going to be 30, 20, 20 if you're going for a defensive build. In this case, we have these normal meditation skills, meditations recharging 20% faster, them being instant, and finally them healing. This increases a whole bunch of defense and is almost essential if you're running meditations. Then we have symbols being larger and symbols healing allies. This is good because both of our weapons, in this case, are going to have symbols they can put down. So these will be extremely useful to our team and will heal them, or in a 1v1 it will heal us all the time. And if you spread it on a whole point, then as long as you stay on that point, you will be healed. It's very useful. Then I have retaliation lasting 25% longer. As I mentioned, this build is meant to actually do some damage. You see, in the old bunker build that you may have seen in the last video, or you may have seen from previous places with a hammer, you get a lot of knockback. You get a lot of CC, and you can lock a person out of your point and cap it that way. But I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to actually be able to kill things. So in 1v1 now, I can have a almost permanent retaliation, which I'll show you in a minute. And that can be hugely effective and can do a lot of damage if they are a high damaging class. Finally, I have the normal activating Virtue of Resolve, removing 3 conditions. This is pretty obvious. Conditions can be very effective against you as a Guardian, so you want to stack as much condition removal as you possibly can. Next, in terms of equipment, I'm using Runes of Dwana, which will just increase a bunch of healing and make it so you are a healing beast and can stay alive a lot longer. Then for some damage, I have a Greatsword with 3 stacks of might when I swap to it. So I want to be swapping weapons pretty damn often in order to make extreme use of this 3 stacks of might. This will increase my damage output by... it will increase my damage output by quite a little bit. Then I have the same on my mace, so I really want to be switching out, and then a 30% chance to heal nearby allies, which is extremely useful because the shield is what I'm going to be in when I'm defensive. Now, the Soldier's Amulet is what I chose. You can also do the Berserker's Amulet if you want to go for even more damage and less survivability, but since I'm going for a bunker style build, I'm sticking to the Soldier's Amulet with a Cleric's Jewel in it just for that extra little healing there. In terms of utility, I have this meditation skill which will convert conditions into boons and break a stun, and then I have this damaging spell which will also cure conditions. I have a heal for blocking as well as a little heal there. If you don't know what that does, it'll actually have a 2-second block and then heal you. And then Stand Your Ground is the last spell I'm using. It grants stability, retaliation, and breaks a stun. This is extremely useful as you'll now have 2 stun breakers, which is extremely useful in a 1v1 fight, or if you're in a big fight and are being knocked around constantly, you can use that stuff and get out of it. But you'll want to save this for when you actually have a bunch of conditions on you. And this will add to the whole retaliation, as well as help you get stomps off. Finally, I'm running Renewed Focus, so I can renew all these virtues, which are very useful to me in this build. Now let's see just how high retaliation I can get. If I put down my Stand Your Ground, and then this rune, I pop all these, I do this again, I pop all these again, I now have 20 seconds of retaliation, and since that took probably 5-10 seconds, I actually can get up to 30 seconds or so of retaliation. Now that's pretty insane and will constantly be dealing damage to your enemies. It's not completely overpowered, I wouldn't say that, but it is a very useful thing to have. I believe that's it for now, guys. This has been my Greatsword Guardian build. just to give you a small idea of how to use the Greatsword, you're going to want to be constantly placing down the symbol for healing, as I mentioned before, as well as extra retaliation. And then inside the symbol, you're going to want to spin, because the combo field there will cleanse your allies. You can also leap out of that field for retaliation, extra retaliation, and it will also help you with mobility and blind your enemies. And then finally, this pull is extremely useful, as you can pull down your enemies. You can hit them and then you can pull them down. This can be useful if they're running away from you as a gap closer, or it can be very useful as an interrupt. With that in mind, that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Mapledungeons, and I'll see you next time.